live set, it is basically you, an extension of you and your world that you're sharing with people in the dance floor. I've never been into DJing. For me, the only reason why I want to be in a club and play in front of people or together with people is to extend the studio at home and to put it in a bigger, different perspective. So basically when I'm producing at home, I'm doing tracks that are around 5-6 minutes and to use them as a tool to build a bigger story in a club. So yeah, I tried DJing, but it didn't do anything for me. I think also if DJing can be very basic. You can just mix between tracks, but a good DJ, they use the tracks in different ways with the EQs and all of different tools and really knowing their profession. And it takes, I think, a lot of time to do that, to get really well at it. It's so different. Like sometimes I produce music just doing tracks at home and then I will finish them the same day or the day after. But sometimes when I have a bigger gig, or if I play in the same city that I have played like the last month, I want to make a new set. I usually just start creating a lot of loops with hardware at home, where I create like the basis for the loops, or I do it in Ableton. And basically it's just like opening a project in Ableton, doing like 16-bar loops of all the different elements. So it's like the low end with the kick and the bass, and then there's some percussion, and then there's like some main synths, effects, and maybe a pad. And that's basically the skeleton of the track. And then I do the loops, and that takes maybe 1 hour. And then I do the tedious process of exporting all the loops, because that's the most boring part. And during that time, I also do all the mixing and mastering of the loops, because I want them to have like the same levels as a DJ playing master tracks in the club. So yeah, I export the loops and I transfer them to, at the moment I'm playing at Machine Plus, and there I transfer the loops, I set everything up, and then I don't practice very much when the loops are in the machines, just maybe 1 or 2 times, and then I just play it in the club, basically arranging them in the club and putting effects and stuff. So try not to practice before. I did it in the beginning because I didn't know the machines, and I think I was more nervous. But I think it's more interesting for me and for the people in the club if I try to improvise more. It becomes so much more fun to play that way, I think. I'm not someone who waits for inspiration before going to the studio. I go every day. I work, but what I've thought about lately is that I have a lot of visuals in my head. For example, seeing the club, if I had a good gig, I can see the people dancing, I can see like the energy, the vibe. So I think most of the inspiration is from the club and movies. I really like movies that have a good soundtrack. I think Paul Thomas Anderson, he has really good sound design, and he uses a lot of music in his movies to build moods. And when you see the director putting a lot of effort in the sound design and music, it really, I think for me, is very inspiring. I'm using the smaller elements of the tracks. For example, if I'm going from low energy to high energy, basically adding elements, adding more, maybe another pattern of a hat. A ride is always creating energy. I don't use too many effects. I use automation. You can open with filters. Reverbs sometimes to create a cloud. So that would be like going to high energy, and the opposite direction, high to low, just remove stuff. I think if you're a DJ, maybe you would do like warping down the tempo and stuff. It's not so easy in the machines. It's more like, I think remove some elements slowly, or big reverb. I think in the beginning I didn't really know, because I was producing at home. I was just doing the tracks and I didn't know how to connect everything to the storyline, how to build the tension, like how a DJ thinks and plays. So for me, it was like going from a high to low. I would just remove everything except the kick and the bass. And I was like, okay, poof, everyone went from the dance floor because there was like nothing driving the dance floor. But then, after playing sometimes I understood. So you still need to keep some elements. What are you keeping and what are you adding to make the next part interesting? But I think what I like about this process is that every little track like that you produce at home is just a small piece of a bigger puzzle in the club, and I think it's really fun, that way of working. I think there's a lot of risk and in the sense that everything can go wrong, the machines can break down, and you can have a bad day or whatever, and you're just playing awfully because you're basically doing everything on the spot. But I think also that's what you say, imperfections, that's what makes it unique. A live set, you can really, it is basically you, an extension of you and your world that you're sharing with people in the dance floor. It's what makes it interesting, the risk and imperfections. My perception of Unit Zero is that it wants to build a world where it's things are taking its time, slowly, like a little cocoon, mystical and dark, but still like surprise moments, but really taking the time in each stage of the set. And I think for a live set, it's harder. I'm not saying it's impossible. It's harder to do large changes with effects or the drops and stuff. So, and I think it's easier to do it slowly and giving the pace. I'm at 140 now. Because with the live set, yes, you can change the BPM, but then the way I've connected my machines, if you increase or decrease the BPM, the sounds will warp the loops. So it's you have to do it slowly, and I think that I'm focusing on other stuff in the set that gives you the illusion of slower or faster BPM, like we're talking about energy. How tense a track is, how spacious it is in the spectrum. So I think instead of focus on BPM, I'm focusing more on energy levels.